Hello and welcome everyone to the Wednesday, January 21st edition of the SIG Contributor Experience meeting. As a reminder, this meeting operates under a code of conduct, which essentially says to be respectful of your fellow speakers and attendees and generally be excellent to each other. The same code of conduct applies for any meetings in the Kubernetes community and often throughout the CNCF community. I think they all pretty much use the same one. I don't know. Some housekeeping items here at the beginning of the call. First off, we like to offer an opportunity for anyone on the call to introduce themselves if you would like to. This is totally optional, so do it if you like, don't if you don't. All good. I use it as an excuse to explain what the meeting is, so I'm going to go first. Hello, everyone. I'm Caslin Fields. My pronouns are she, her, which I haven't put on my thing yet here. I'm renaming myself, so that's easy to find. And I am a co-chair of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience, which is the group that this call is for. The purpose of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience is to work on all kinds of aspects of the experience of contributing to Kubernetes. What does that mean? That's a lot of words. So we cover things like various GitHub processes that contributors use to contribute to open source Kubernetes. We own like org membership, which is an important component of contributing to Kubernetes. We have a variety of sub-projects, including mentoring, which we'll talk a little bit about, comms, making sure that folks in the contributor community know about things that are going on that they ought to know about, contributor documentation, like our contributor guide and our contributor website, moderation and media, Zoom, Slack, YouTube, calendars, mailing lists, all of that kind of stuff is in our purview, and elections, which we'll have another election this year in August-ish timeframe, so we're a ways out from that at the moment. But that's a little overview of the Special Interest Group for Contributor Experience. Would anyone else like to introduce themselves?
Yeah, I'm new, so may as well. My name's Kieran. I was at the NCO meeting yesterday. Really helpful and well organized. I would have found it really daunting to just jump in and do a drive-by PR. So yeah, thank you for that. Really just here to sit in and get a lay of the land and figure out which SIGs I'm interested in contributing to. Yeah, that's me.
Love to hear it. I love it when folks from new contributor orientation show up. All right. Anyone else want to introduce themselves? Totally optional.
I'll go. My name is Ray Lahano. Pronouns he, him. I'm a co-chair for SIG Docs, but I have a question about the elections later on. So I'll bring it up when it's election time.
I like the idea of bringing up things about the elections now rather than in August.
Yes. No, yes.
Would anyone else like to introduce themselves? Also, I'm posting the notes doc in the chat.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah. We can move them after this meeting. Good point. Christopher in the chat mentioned that we should probably move to a new notes doc. We'll do that later.
Yeah, I'm not on the ball this morning or today. Sorry.
I'll say I'm Josh Burkus. I'm currently a lead on too many sub-projects. So if you were interested, if anyone in this call is interested in advancing themselves to becoming a sub-project lead, I probably have a sub-project you could take over.
Oh, interesting.
On a very short time frame.
Yeah. Right. Because it turns out that somebody new and inexperienced is not going to do any less work than somebody who's overcommitted. So, yeah.
And this is how people end up in lead positions very fast sometimes in the community.
Yes.
Was that common?
It's not uncommon.
It's not, yeah, exactly. It's not uncommon.
Well, I'm Christopher. I joined November NCO, and I've been contributing to the contributor website for a month and a half. So
Time to become a lead.
Yep.
And yeah,
You're welcome.
I'm enjoying experiencing this SIG, and I invite everyone that's new to join and invite all your friends, colleagues to us. It's a good place to start your open source journey.
Thank you very much, Christopher. Happy to have you here. And I laughed extra hard at that because I suggested that Christopher become a lead of the website on Friday after the contributor comms team meeting. So I'm very amused at myself on that.
And thank you.
Would anyone else like to introduce themselves? Totally optional. We've got some exciting folks on today. Are we in trouble? We've got Ray, and we've also got Kevin Hannon joining. I guess it is the first. Also, happy New Year. Happy 2026, everyone. This is the first America's edition of this meeting in 2026. So happy to have you all. I'm going to grab that link to the notes doc one more time and throw it in the chat since we've had a few more people join. I'm going to move on with the other housekeeping items, but if you're on the call and you missed the chance to introduce yourself and you want to later, please feel free to. This is a pretty casual call. The main thing we're going to do today is just run through a list of our subprojects and go over any updates that anyone on the call has. If you have any questions along the way about why do you do it this way? What is this project? Please feel free to ask. We're happy to answer. And then I think the last housekeeping item for us here is note taker. So we always ask for a volunteer to take notes during our meetings. The role of the note taker is to follow along with the discussion that's happening in the call as best you can and take notes so that if someone missed the call and they want to catch up with the notes, they can check those out. Honestly, we mostly use them to check back on, at least I mostly use it because I'm always here, but I mostly use them to check back on what happened during the call so that if there was an action item for the comms group, for example, which I'm also a lead of, we can look at the notes from this meeting and be like, oh yeah, that was what that action item was, and actually try to work on it. So would anyone like to be our note taker today? Any volunteers?
I could be. I could help.
Christopher has been doing a great job with taking notes, but he's taken notes several times. So if anyone new wants to take notes, want to do an extra offer there.
Oh, yes.
So we've got a lot of new folks here today.
Who's the join from the NCO could be a good candidate?
Yeah,
if you're in a position to take it.
I've got my attention a little split right now, unfortunately. So
understandable. And there's no requirement to do so. Often we have folks who are like on their phone or something, so it doesn't always work. But awesome. Thank you, Christopher, as usual. You've been doing such a great job with this. Really appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right. So that's it for our housekeeping items. Let's move into going over each of our subprojects. Our first subproject to talk about is events. So to give a little recap on what events means to us here in SIG ContribEx, SIG ContribEx through the event subproject used to run the Kubernetes contributor summits, which were events that would happen at KubeCons, where the Kubernetes contributor community would get together and collaborate, share knowledge, all of that good stuff. As of 2023, I think it was 2023 actually that we shifted over. Maybe it's 2024.
No. 2024, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, wait, no, 25.
Was it?
Yeah,
was it EU?
Oh yeah, it was EU. Yeah. That's right. It
was EU. Yep.
Okay. If it was North America, then it would have been end of 2024. But I guess it's early 2025. Hasn't been that long, and I can't judge time. But as of early 2025, the CNCF has taken over a lot of the management of the contributor maintainer event that happens at KubeCons. It's their conference, so they're already doing a whole bunch of event planning. We always got the budget for these from them anyway. And registration was always really annoying to manage because it was like kind of a separate process. But now it's integrated, so it's a lot easier on that respect. And also staffing is a lot easier. But so they moved it to a maintainer summit, which is also open to other CNCF projects, not just Kubernetes. Kubernetes being one of the largest open source projects in the world, we have a lot of processes and things that we use in our work that other CNCF projects can learn from. And being a giant project that gets in our own way sometimes, we can really learn from a lot of the other projects in the CNCF ecosystem of how they do things. So personally a big fan of the Maintainer Summit integration of all of the projects across the CNCF. So right now, we've got KubeCon EU coming up in March, which means we are well underway with planning for Maintainer Summit for KubeCon EU. The CFP for that's already closed. The schedule was supposed to come out today. It might already be out because European time. I'm not sure. I haven't checked yet. Somebody might want to go check that out. Registration is open. Registration is open to org members in the Kubernetes project. So if you've been contributing for a little bit, you've worked with the folks that you're working with in the open source project to get org membership, then you are eligible to go. And that registration is usually open to like a week before the event. So you've got time if you want to try to go and become an org member. Josh, I think you wanted to say something about Maintainer Summit.
Yeah. It would be good to bring, because like we still have two aspects of event organization that are titularly under ContribEx. One is selecting program committee members effectively for the Kubernetes sessions for the Maintainer Summit, as well as potentially trying to inspire people to submit sessions. And then the other is meet and greet or whatever that morphs into for this particular KubeCon, right?
And I would also add to that list comms. CNCF does some comms, but making sure the whole Kubernetes community is aware of what's going on kind of falls to community members.
And I kind of feel like all that has fallen to Mario kind of in isolation from the rest of ContribEx, which doesn't that seems like a little too much on Mario. So I don't know. I mean, for whatever reason, he can never make this time slot.
He does sometimes.
Sometimes,
yeah.
So
one reason that.
Anyway, I would like to see it become, sort of more of a ContribEx thing again, where at least all of us are aware of what's going on, regardless of who's currently leading it. That's it.
Yes, that is exactly the kind of thing that we've been talking about with Mario a lot lately. One reason Mario has kind of been in charge of all things Maintainer Summit for the past year at least is because he has been a co-chair of the Maintainer Summit. I mean, KubeCon has 3-4 co-chairs now. Is 3 still, right?
4.
Is it 4 now?
Yeah.
I was thinking
I don't
it might
know.
be 4 now.
You
could look it up. 3 or 4 co-chairs. Yeah. And Maintainer Summit has its own set of separate co-chairs from the KubeCon co-chairs. And they're ideally chosen from across the CNCF ecosystem because Kubernetes is such a huge project within the CNCF. And the whole thing kind of started from our community's event that we used to run. Ideally, we would love to have a Kubernetes person as a co-chair, but so Mario has been that for the past year, but once he drops off after EU, we're not going to have one on the co-chairs. So it's going to fall more to the community to make sure that we are engaged with what the CNCF is doing with the Maintainer Summit. We got to figure that out. So we've been talking a bit when we ran Kubernetes community contributor summits. We owned all sorts of aspects of running that event, and we had a variety of lead positions that we would fill with each event cycle. So So we've been talking about maybe doing something similar where we have at least a comms and meet and greet lead. But 2 leads is hardly a team. So we've got to...
Wait, why isn't there going to be a Kubernetes contributor as one of the co-chairs?
I don't think... I think they might have already selected who the next co-chair is after Mario. I'm not sure. But he's been saying that there's not going to be one after him.
Oh.
But why?
I don't know. Nobody was in the running for it. They just didn't select one. Question for Mario. Or for the CNCF, if you want to pester CNCF folks, Josh. Or I could, actually.
I do feel like it should be an official request from ContribEx, because that feels bad. It really feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because it feels like, number one, it's still the case that that most of the other projects have not yet quite gotten synced up with the idea of what a summit is, as opposed to just submitting talks to KubeCon, right? Like if you look at the program for the last one, it was very dominated by Kubernetes contributors submitted talks, because we actually know what's expected at a contributor summit, right? Since we've been doing it for years. And if we don't have somebody from Kubernetes who's sort of continuing that, hey, this is the purpose of this event, this is what we're looking for here, etc. It feels like it could fall apart, honestly.
Agreed. I think Mario's also very concerned about that. So maybe,
but like there was no call for people from the Kubernetes community to, put themselves forward. So I'm wondering what the selection process is that suddenly Kubernetes is excluded.
Yeah. I do like the idea of making that a SIG ContribEx request to the CNCF. Mm-hmm. So that being said, that's probably the biggest issue that we should go off and try to address as SIG ContribEx is what's going on with the co-chair thing, and then selecting leads and getting an events sub-team kind of spun up on a regular basis going forward for maintainer summits. Those are the two things top of mind for me.
There should be a co-chair from North America and EU, at least.
There are 3 co-chairs for Maintainer Summit, and there's no regional requirement.
Who's the third one?
And they're also year-long things.
So they cover both EU and NA for a term as a co-chair.
Right. And the term should start
KubeCon EU
staggered.
and KubeCon NA.
Yeah. And that I understand, because we tried to have, when we were running the Kubernetes Contributor Summit, we actually tried to have separate European and North American, contingents, like have those be sort of 2 separate tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And it really didn't work, because the problem is it's really hard to do leadership rotation for an event that effectively happens only once a year. And so we ended up with basically the same sort of continuum between the two. Because we just couldn't have basically, hey, here's the leaders from the European one and all of their mentees who are going to become the leaders next year, etc., versus the ones from the North American one. Even though you'd think that would make geographic sense, it didn't work.
Oh, okay.
Because over the course of a year, we would just have too many people drop out. And so we'd end up with gaps, and those gaps had to be filled in with people from the last one. And, so...
And the last one would have been in the other geo, so the other geo folks end up getting involved anyway.
Yeah.
That rules existed when they were called
Kubernetes contributor.
Yeah. They were there before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but some of the people who set up the Maintainer Summit were involved with the Kubernetes Contributor Summit, and they were aware of what had not worked, which is why they're rotating. They're not assigning the chairmanship by which KubeCon region it is.
Okay. Oh, okay, makes sense.
Because they already know that didn't work out with the contributor summit. So
we try to carry forth knowledge,
yep.
build on what we've learned.
And my question was, who's the third co-chair?
Do you know who the second co-chair is? I know it's Mario, Karina.
Oh, Karina.
Natalie.
I'm not a co-chair.
It was Natalie,
I
but I
thought you
believe
were.
Natalie is rolled off. I don't know
she
who the
just
third
rolled
one is.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. The third one is someone else who has already been selected, but maybe not announced. I don't know. The other two are not in the Kubernetes community.
So they are where? In the Ciencia?
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like technical oversight committee, I think is.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Other projects. Anyone from like eligible CNCF groups could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, where help, like the things you like help, where do you like help, and if you need more people join the sub project or so.
Yeah. The other thing I think we should handle separately through ContribEx, because it's not really attached to the Maintainer Summit, is the meet and greet or whatever the meet and greet is turning into. That does feel like something that we should take on as part of ContribEx events. I know Mario already has plans for Europe, but we can talk about what that transition is going to look like for North America, because I doubt he's even going to North America. So the someone else will need to run that. And
so there's
and
basically So there's basically two leads that we need right now, and we also need to decide how those leads are going to meet and do their work. If they need to meet, honestly, they don't need to meet because they don't work together. They're just two leads that we need for this thing. So one is comms, in which case you need to be aware of what's happening with the Maintainer Summit. So you need to get tied in with the right folks. Right now, Mario has been like the only person who's tied in with everything that's going on with Maintainer Summit. So we need to figure out a different way to do that if we're not going to have a co-chair. We should assume that is a possibility and just set up the comms lead to be successful there. The other one is the meet and greet lead. And the meet and greet lead needs to be someone who will be in person at the event. Comms lead doesn't have to be, but meet and greet lead does need to be. Because typically the idea of the meet and greet is we have a like 2 to 3 hour time slot. It's like 2.5 time slot over lunch one day of KubeCon, where we have a thing on the schedule for KubeCon saying, hey, come meet the Kubernetes contributor community. If you want to learn to contribute, here's where you can learn about that. And we have representatives from every SIG show up at this lunch. And ideally, people who are attending KubeCon will come to this and say hello and learn about what the SIGs do and all of that kind of stuff. In reality, it ends up mostly being networking amongst existing contributors. A few new folks show up. So we've had a lot of issues with that. We are always debating, is there a different way that we can engage with the attendees at KubeCon to teach them about what's going on? So we're trying a few different things as well, but meet and greet continues for now.
But for the moment, it's just 2 hours for it.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ray probably remembers better than I do.
Yeah, it's 2 hours, but the person who's leading it should be there at least 30 minutes before, and that person is the point contact person with the CNCF as well. I've led it before. I would love for someone else to lead as well, but if my travel is approved and there's no one else to lead it, I can lead it as well.
Okay. Well, let's loop in with Mario here, because like I said, I do remember him saying that there was plans for Europe.
Yes, there are
already. It's just
that's what I've heard.
It's just we need to be doing this more as ContribEx so that in the folder there's a who's assigned, etc., and it's not always a ask Mario what's going on, because it's not working real well. Because the truth was with North America, nobody was assigned, and none of us knew because there wasn't a place to go check.
Ooh.
So
you filled in for that, Chris.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So and we should do this on a small scale in the same way that we've done sort of everything else, right? Which is for every KubeCon there is at least a lead and at least one shadow, right? Because there's plenty of legwork to be done. Actually, we could use 2 shadows for it. There's plenty of legwork to be done, and then we have a pool of leads for future ones, right?
That's 4 people, which makes a pretty decent meeting, but also still the case that meet and greet and comms don't completely overlap and all the things that they're doing, but it'd be fine. They'd still need to be connected. So maybe there's a meeting opportunity there where we should set up a regular sub-project meeting, and we can use the event, the summit staff channel in Slack, because that's what we always used to use.
I'm gonna send a link in the chat. Kathleen, isn't that that folder a good place to add those roles Josh was mentioning before?
So there already are role handbooks for both of these, because they were roles that existed when we were doing our own contributor summits.
But I mean to also tag who is in charge of those roles.
Yeah.
The way that we would do it before was, you see that we have these like 2024 contributor summit, and we have the list of leads in there. So yes, it would be at this it would be at the events level.
Okay.
And then you would create a new folder for the event for that year, and then you would have the list of people who are filling those roles there, and then the events team folder contains the handbooks for comms, and there actually isn't a meet and greet lead here. At least it's not named that way. We'll have to look into that.
There's a SIG.
I mean, it was actually a problem even when we were running the contributor summit, where we would often assigning somebody to meet and greet would be an afterthought. And it's actually
not a whole lot of work.
That leadership is becoming more important, because every KubeCon we kind of want to tinker with how the meet and greet runs, whether we want to do other activities. And so whoever is the lead for that, like their job, 3 months out from KubeCon is to talk to the CNCF event staff and figure out what it is we're doing exactly. And maybe like we did last time, run a survey of SIG leads and stuff, to figure out what people want. So it's actually a more involved role than it used to be.
In terms of the logistics of actually running it on site, the CNCF handles most of that. But in terms of like working with the community to make sure that it's as close to what we want it to be as possible, that's what the lead is going to have to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, you have to be on site and checking that the staff are actually doing the things.
Because
for them, the meet and greet is one of 60 other things they have to do at the same time.
Yes. Very big yes to that.
Yeah.
And so they can end up setting up 2 hours late if somebody's not there to check on them.
Disasters, trauma. Yeah. So I guess if you're interested in helping with Maintainer Summit stuff, let me know. Say so in the SIG ContribEx Slack, or DM me directly or whatever. We'll try to get a little group going of people who are interested in this thing. And from that group of people who are interested, we'll pull something out of it and make a thing happen.
So far it's just Mario and yourself?
Mario, me, you, because I created that Slack thread where I was like, you should be comms lead. You don't have to be that.
That's the group.
And
that's the group so far.
Loop me in, because I want to find somebody new, but I'm happy to stay on as an emeritus advisor. having run them myself before.
And do you guys think it's an overkill meeting regularly for those tasks?
I think we got to try it to find out.
Yeah.
Because maybe like 3 months ahead, maybe it would be good to meet at least bi-weekly, right?
Yeah, definitely at least bi-weekly at this point.
Maybe monthly or bi-monthly when there's no KubeCons ahead.
I'd do at least bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Okay. Monthly is too much?
No, I think with only 3 months ahead, you're going to run into a problem of not enough meetings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Potentially.
And if you don't meet frequently enough, then you lose context. And the next time you meet, you have to do everything all over again.
Okay.
Keeps progress from happening rather than
let's bring that
occurring.
conversation, Kathleen, to the group.
Slack, yeah. Awesome. So we've talked about that for a good chunk of time now, but it's a really important topic. So any other questions or comments on Maintainer Summit? We'll continue this conversation in Slack. We'll try to make as much of it as makes sense public. Maybe we should move that group, just like we'll figure that out. We'll try to keep the community informed about how that's developing, because we want to be able to just kind of throw ideas around without people clinging on to those ideas in public, but we also want the whole community involved with what we're planning. So we'll
exactly, because there should be a link to the Slack group, invitations. So there's a bunch of work.
In the past, yeah. Welcome to Summit Planning. In the past, we did all of this in a channel called Summit Staff, which is open to anyone to see but not participate in or something. We had 2 different channels. There's a Contributor Summit one. I think that's the public one, and the Summit Staff would just be the staff. So there will be a combination of various Slack channels and issues and all sorts of things. Running events, always a challenge. Any last questions, comments on Maintainer Summit for this meeting? We'll continue the conversation in Slack. Make sure you reach out to me if you want to be involved in any of this work. It's going to be a lot of work. All right. Let's move on then. Let's talk a little bit about mentoring, the most confusing topic of this meeting for new people joining. So the purpose of our mentoring sub-project is primarily to take existing contributors and give them the skills to become reviewers and approvers and leaders in the community. The one thing that is within the mentoring sub-project that is geared at net new contributors, acquiring them and helping them to upskill, is the new contributor orientation, which we just ran yesterday. We've got at least one person here who joined that, 2 at least. Well,
yeah. What were numbers?
More than that. We had 33 when 33. I joined.
Yeah.
That was total, including myself, Chris, and Ray. So.
Yeah, we now have a dedicated comms contributor for the NCO, which has, I think, really made a difference.
Swathi's been Swathi and Avni have both been doing.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's made a big difference for sure.
Huge. Thank you, Swathi and Avni, wherever you are, hopefully in bed.
The other mentoring thing that has activity right now, we don't have any group mentoring cohorts going on right now. And that is something that needs to happen, but realistically will probably not happen until after KubeCon Europe. Unless anybody listening to this, if you're involved in a SIG that would like to launch a group mentoring cohort, please contact us. The other thing is LFX Term 1 starts. Actually, proposals were due yesterday. We have 5 from various Kubernetes SIGs, and
I think there's more than that.
There's only 5 I could find in the CNCF mentoring folder.
Nate sent us a group of them to approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like I can review those, but I can't actually approve them. We need a SIG lead to approve them. So, and in a couple of cases, I think we actually want to ping leads of other SIGs just because the person making the proposal is not anybody with a title in the SIG. And we just want to double check that the SIG is actually behind this.
Exactly.
Because like, for example, if it's a code-based one, we need to have an approver involved. Because otherwise the work might not get reviewed or approved. Yeah.
Yes. So the current status on LFX is that there's a group of proposals from the Kubernetes project that are on the virtual desks of the ContribEx leads, and we need to go through those and make sure that there's an actual approver from that SIG on the proposal, and then approve them. And to give folks an overview of LFX, in case folks aren't familiar with it, it's a mentoring program run by the Linux Foundation for a variety of open source projects, not just Kubernetes. But it's an opportunity for Kubernetes maintainers, leaders to create projects that are scoped, and they submit that to this LFX mentorship program. And the program selects mentees who will take on those projects for a specified time period. And I think they get paid too, don't they, Josh?
Yes.
The mentees? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an intensive paid internship for 8 weeks, I think, or 10 weeks. So it's generally scoped to like a large chunk of work. Like the one that SIG etcd is putting in is to actually complete the security assessment for this cycle, which still has like 22 open items on it. So it's going to be a lot of work, and hence making it worthwhile of a full internship. And people do all kinds of different things. Sometimes it's working on a feature, sometimes it's working on a piece of infrastructure.
Yeah. So I'm also taking a note here. I always say in the mentoring segment, there's a lot of help needed here. This is one of the many sub projects that Josh is a lead of that we could really use a lead for.
Yeah.
But the work of doing this is basically, it's very program management type work where you need to keep track of these mentoring programs, make sure that folks within the community know about the timelines for those programs, and kind of just help things along, making sure that mentoring is happening across the project. So it's very program management. Josh.
Yeah, I was going to say, because right now with it being mostly me, it means only one thing happens at a time, right? So like, January, February, I'm working on the LFX proposals and therefore not doing anything about group mentoring cohorts at all. And with more people involved, we could be doing more things at the same time.
So if you're interested in helping to make sure that mentoring is happening in the Kubernetes project, we need some help. This has been an ask for like at least over a year, 2 years, more than that. But I've been saying the exact same thing on these calls for at least a year and a half, I think. So any questions, comments about mentoring? We can always come back to it at the end if folks develop questions. Let's move on to our next sub-project, which is contributor communications. Is there anyone here from the contributor communications project? There's a bunch of people here from contributor comms, both of the leads and Christopher is in there and all sorts of folks. So I always like to make that joke. Who wants to start with updates? And Josh, leads LWKD, which we still kind of treat as part of contributor comms, but we've been talking amongst the ContribEx leads about making LWKD its own sub-project. That is the plan if it hasn't
Makes
happened
sense.
yet.
Well, it is kind of its own sub-project, but on the other hand, it's the same pool of people.
True.
Because one of the nice things about LWKD is because it's so structured, it actually works well to help get people up to speed in writing stuff. And then those people move on to other comms tasks.
Comms is very much our new contributor incubator.
Yeah. So I mean, it's part of comms, or it's a sub project, or both. Both is fine.
Yeah. Did you want to talk a little bit about LWKD? You added a note in here about it.
Yeah, no, well, but I was saying there's nothing new other than we're always looking for new writers, because there was a brief period when we were going to add new sections to LWKD, because we had a bunch of writers and then a few people dropped out. So I'm back to writing one of the sections myself. So it would be nice to get a couple new writers.
Have you seen Mario's new project? Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, is that something that's easy to hit the ground running with?
Yeah.
New to the org.
Yeah. The primary thing is, how your primary sort of gating thing is getting up to speed on the Kubernetes project itself, right? Because each section reports on something going on with Kubernetes development, right? So
which is a great thing that you need to do anyway.
Right. There's general developer news. There's picking a couple special merges in a current KEP. There's the general merges. There's the close dependent projects, and where people have to do some learning and getting up to speed is sort of figuring that part out, right? Because when you first look at the list of PRs, it takes you a while of reading PRs before you can start understanding which ones are worth writing up and which ones are not.
Yeah, I would imagine so, right? There's a lot of chaff.
Yeah. And we have some guidance on that, right? And the nice thing about it coming every week is that, well, if you don't do a great job one week, there's always next week.
Right. Hey, I mean, yeah, that sounds like a pretty easy entry point, actually. And Kazan, like you said, that's a good way to get kind of a broad swath of the organization kind of in my head. So yeah, Josh, would I just reach out to you in channel about that?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, actually, one of the things we'll be posting next week is we're doing section assignments on a monthly basis, because we find that way if people are doing 3 to 5 issues, then they actually have some time to learn that particular section. So, and next week we'll be calling for the folks for February, right? So, you can put something down if you want. In the meantime, read a couple issues of LWKD so that we actually see what's in it.
Yeah, will do. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you mainly use the ContribEx comms channel in Slack for collaboration on that, right?
Okay, not the SIG channel.
Yeah.
You could do either. We'd probably find you, but I think they mostly do it in comms.
Yeah, in comms, yeah. We thought about having our own channel for LWKD, but there's so much interaction with the rest of comms that it makes more sense to do it in the comms channel. And also, by the way, it's completely async. We have a tremendous spread of time zones among our contributors, and so having an in-person meeting is just not worth talking about.
Cool. All right, sounds good. I'll keep an eye out for the post in a week or so then. Thanks, Josh.
I would highly recommend popping into the comms channel now and saying, "Hey, I'm here and I'm interested in contributing to LWKD," just so that the folks who are on LWKD can say hello to you. And also on LWKD, I was going to mention Mario did a little weekend side project of LWCN last week in cloudnative.dev, where he used AI to gather, he uses RSS feeds and a scraper to gather a bunch of different cloud native news and uses AI to summarize it and put it into a specific format. So I don't know if you're interested in those experiments, but
I mean, for that matter, for anybody who is interested in experimenting with AI, For some of the sections of LWKD, particularly the miscellaneous merges and subprojects, having some kind of an AI tool do the first draft would totally make sense, because the first part of it is just pulling all of the PRs that meet certain criteria. It still requires a human, because often figuring out what the purpose of the PR is requires a fair amount of contextual inference that is beyond current capabilities. But like if somebody's under orders from their employer to actually do stuff with new AI tools, then there's actually some opportunity there. And if somebody's doing last week in Cloud Native, it feels like they should talk to whoever at CNCF still owns Biweekly, because
I know, right?
they're having a lot of trouble keeping that going.
I think they killed it already. I think it's officially dead.
Okay,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I use it as a source for podcast news, and they aren't updating it anymore.
Yeah. And does that feel like a carefully, that also is an area where it feels like a carefully crafted AI thingamajig would help a lot, because the amount of just sheer data gathering you have to do.
Yeah. So if you're interested in
filtered down to the interesting parts.
AI experiments, I put Mario's GitHub repo in here. I'm actually going to include it in a talk that I do next week at a meetup, because I feel like it has a very similar structure to another tool that I built. So I'm going to play around with that. But we have 7 minutes left, and Ray is here for elections. So let's talk about Ray's election stuff.
Yeah. So I was an election officer shadow the past 2 cycles. One thing I wanted, one of my takeaways was that, can we start earlier in the process? And is it too early to start in terms of like schedule, gathering officers, and comms plan? Is it too early to start in late January?
Yeah, it is not too early to start, and this is yet another example of Josh has too many subprojects, because to date, kicking off the process, like there's a lot of people involved in elections who are not me, but kicking off the start of the election process has been entirely me. And it would be great if it's not entirely me. However, I don't want it to be you, because I want you to be a full election officer next time. We have, for the new people here, we have this divide where we have the election officers and we have the people who are in charge of the subproject, and those are separate people, because the election officers are very restricted in what they're allowed to do in order to not look biased. So I mean, I was actually, one of the things I was planning on doing this year is poll some of the people who've rotated off and see if any of them are interested in taking a more leadership role in the election subproject, because they know what has to be done, right? And it would be really good to have some co-leads, so that if I have a crisis in March, it doesn't delay the whole election, which is what happened last year. So no, it's not too early to start. Well, it might be too early for people to commit to being an election officer or not, but there's one way to find out, right? You should be going up to full election officer if you're interested, because the reason you couldn't last time was that we had too many red hatters. But the other red hatters can be rotating off. And then we'll want to see if people can move up and if people can shadow,
Yeah, so I do fully plan to have this on my schedule for this year. So we'll start just with some minor things, like starting a doc for comms, and also like planning out a schedule, but not like a full schedule, but like taking into consideration of coupons and major holidays, and so those need to be accounted for as well, and release dates.
You're the best, Ray.
Mhm.
Last year was rough on the election timeline as a recap for folks. We didn't get it started until very late. And so the election happened later than it usually does, which is always a little tricky with planning for KubeCon and stuff. So really appreciate Ray bringing up that we should get this started sooner rather than later. And also bringing up the fact that we need more leads for this. So if we start thinking about that now, rather than being like, oh, election's coming later, we'll worry about that later. Maybe we'll actually make some progress on supporting this. There were some more folks again in the new contributor orientation meeting interested in Electo, Josh. There was at least
really?
one person
Okay.
who was like, I'm going to reach out about that.
Okay. Yeah, let me throw some stuff out because we just finally got approval from CNCF, by the way, that we're going to have a meeting room for an Electo hacking session at KubeCon Europe.
Nice.
Because the other development lead Ludo is going to be there. So
is it during KubeCon EU or is it during the Maintainer Summit?
I don't know.
I
don't know. I don't think it's during the Maintainer Summit because they were saying something about not having space on Monday. So
okay.
I think it's some other point in the
that
schedule.
Could be better in some ways.
Yeah.
Probably
so
not,
you know, it's KubeCon.
Pros and cons.
There are no non-conflicted times, right?
It's true.
So you know, but we'll find out. But it's good because we've never met in person before, and plus we can drag in a couple of the major users, etc. And maybe get up to state and maybe also talk to CNCF about offering hosting for it because to date it's either it's hosted by projects themselves, like the Kubernetes instances are hosted on the Kubernetes infrastructure, but for all the other CNCF projects, it's actually hosted by Red Hat, which is fine. It doesn't cost us much, but it's politically constraining. Right? It means that for another project as election officers, we don't want to have an election officer from Red Hat because we don't want it to be a conflict of interest. And other projects have as much trouble finding election officers as we do.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's what's going on with elections. Any questions, comments about election planning, election subproject leadership, and Electo, the open source tool that we use for elections? Cool. If you attended the new contributor orientation, Electo is one of the areas where we could use some help managing that piece of open source software, which is also something that Josh was involved with creating and has the greatest background in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, where it's an opportunity for new contributors is that it's Python and not Go. And so we have people coming in who are not Go programmers, right? Who are not looking to become Go programmers. And so this is an opportunity for them to work on something else.
That was definitely mentioned yesterday during NCO.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people do ask language questions at NCO.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, we are basically at time. I'm just reviewing the comms notes because I think there were a couple other comms notes.
Yeah, they are not a priority to discuss now, but I would like to discuss the note that I left for the contributor side. Yeah. Because that has been for a while an issue, and I don't think we will have enough time, but I think I would like to discuss that with you guys.
Yeah, we should bring those up in the comms meeting. Okay. One thing that I think is useful to bring up, we are at time, but a quick thing from comms that was interesting this week. I took the message of the week post that you wrote, Christopher. Thank you so much for writing those. Actually got a few of those out this time, which we should do on a weekly basis. And one of those was a reminder about the Ingress Nginx deprecation. Mm-hmm. And that did get quite a bit of traction I was seeing on our social media platforms. So continue beating the drum on the Ingress Nginx deprecation. It is a big
LinkedIn or NX.
Yeah.
It should be on LinkedIn. It should be on everything. I was looking at it on Blue Sky.
Yeah. Is there somewhere a comms plan for that?
No. There is the existing blog post about it. And that's kind of it. We talked with folks at the Maintainer Summit at KubeCon North America about it, and they wanted to handle writing the blog post. So they were like, "Shoo, comms, we'll write that." And so now we're at the point where we have the blog post and should think about what else we need to do.
I'd like to have schedule reminders because like other major deprecations, we want to remind people like 15 times in different places. And so, like, one of the questions
we should do that.
Like LWKD, right, is we'll want to remind people in LWKD more than once, but when?
Oh.
You know,
it got a lot of traffic. The English Nginx one.
Yes, it's important news. People are interested, and we need to get that out there repeatedly. We did create a comms plan for a survey that SIG Multicluster wanted to run last year. We could take that as an example and try to create a plan around this.
Yes.
Let's do that in the comms meeting this week. Somebody put it on the notes doc for Friday.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
All right. And with that, we are
comms plan, comms timeline. What's
comms plan?
Yeah, you can use either of those words, both of those words. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining today. We are 2 minutes over. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, you can always ping us on Slack, SIG ContribEx, or ping us leads directly. We'll do our best to get back to you. Note that sometimes we don't. It's not a comment on you, just us being busy. So don't be afraid to ask a couple times. And we'll do this again in 2 weeks. The next one will be the APAC friendly version of this meeting. Thanks for joining today. I'm going to turn off the recording. Bye, YouTube.